Okay, so we're about to jump into some music that's, yeah, over 200 years old. But wait, this is not some dusty old history lesson. Seriously, think of it more like the story of a massive software update, one that totally changed music forever. And its code? It's still running in the background of almost everything you listen to today. I mean, really think about it. That huge, dramatic music when you're in a big boss fight, or, when the Avengers finally assemble, that powerful, emotional sound that gives you chills. The actual rules for how to write that music, they were basically invented during this period we're talking about, Viennese Classicism. To get why today's soundtracks are so awesome, we gotta go back to the source. And that source, the place where this whole musical update was coded and launched, was one city, Vienna. See, to really get the music, you first have to get the place. Back in the 18th century, Vienna was the ultimate hub for musicians. It was the place you had to be if you wanted to make it big. So you got to picture Vienna back then. It was the capital of this massive empire, which means it had all the money, and it was a total magnet for all the top talent. And a brand new trend was just taking off: public concerts. So for the first time ever, you didn't have to be a king or queen to hear amazing live music. The whole city was just buzzing with these new ideas about logic and balance and order, and that whole vibe shaped the sound of its music. Right, so with all these brilliant people packed into one city, music got a huge update. They basically moved on from the old way of doing things, which was super complicated, to something that was new, clean, and way, way more powerful. It's kind of like upgrading from a clunky old phone that can barely send a text to a brand new smartphone. So the old style of music, it was called Baroque, was like a chaotic online game where everyone is shouting commands at once. You've got tons of different melodies all competing for your attention. It's definitely cool, but it can be a lot. The new classical style, it was more like a story-driven game. You have one clear main character, that's the melody, and everybody else is there to support that character. It's just cleaner, simpler, and way more elegant. And this brilliant new idea actually has a name. It's called homophony. And this is the absolute key to this whole new sound. It's actually super simple to understand. You've got your lead singer, right? That's the name tune. And then you've got the backup band playing chords and stuff. That's the harmony that supports it. Almost every single pop song you listen to today uses this exact same idea. Okay, so how do they actually build this new music? Well, these composers weren't just making it up as they went along. They developed these powerful structures. They were like blueprints for designing a musical journey that tells a complete and satisfying story. Their biggest and most famous creation was the symphony. And you can think of it like a 4-level video game. Level 1 is fast and exciting. It totally sets the scene. Level 2 is the slow, emotional part. That's where you get the core of the story. Level 3 is a dance, something fun and rhythmic that gets you nodding along. And level 4 is the big, fast-paced finale that just leaves you feeling hyped. And inside those levels, especially the first one, they use this secret formula that is basically the 3-act structure of every blockbuster movie you've ever seen. No joke. First, you have the exposition. That's where you meet the heroes, the main musical themes. Then comes the development, where things get crazy, the themes battle it out, they get mixed up and transformed. And finally, the recapitulation, where the main hero theme comes back, usually bigger and more epic, for the grand finale. It is a perfect story told entirely with sound. So who were the geniuses behind this new musical language? Well, there were 3 main guys, the absolute superstars of Vienna, and you can't think of them as these old dudes in wigs. No way. These guys were the rock stars and the top influencers of their time. And here's the really amazing part. These 3 were all in Vienna at roughly the same time. I mean, look at this timeline. You can see how their lives totally overlapped. They were learning from each other, competing with each other, and inspiring each other. It created one of the most legendary creative scenes in all of history. Okay, first up, we have Haydn. This guy is the OG, the original influencer. He's often called the father of the symphony because he pretty much wrote the instruction manual for how to do it. His music is incredibly smart, perfectly structured, and often really witty and funny. He's the one who set the trends. And this dude, he was a machine. He wrote over 100 symphonies, 104 to be exact. He worked for the super rich family that literally gave him his own private orchestra, so he could just experiment and try out new ideas whenever he felt like it. It's how he perfected the whole blueprint. Next up is Mozart. If Haydn was the OG, Mozart was the viral child prodigy, just a pure natural genius. He could write the most perfect, beautiful melodies you have ever heard, and he could do it in any style of music. Operas, symphonies, stuff for a small group of instruments. He was a master of it all. His music is just the definition of elegance and deep emotion. And finally, there's Beethoven. He's the rebel, the game changer. He showed up in Vienna, learned all the rules that Haydn and Mozart had perfected, and then he started to break them, one by one. He took their balanced, elegant style and just injected it with raw power and intense personal emotion. His music got bigger, it got longer, it got louder, and it paved the way for the next 100 years of music.
All right, so an old city, some old composers. Why does any of this actually matter to you today? Well, because that musical update from the 18th century, it's still running in the background of just about everything you hear. Its legacy is literally all around us.
For starters, the orchestra as we know it today was basically finalized back then. That blockbuster movie formula, the sonata form, is the direct ancestor of how modern film and video game scores are written. The whole idea that a piece of music could be a timeless masterpiece really started right here. And hey, if you learn an instrument like the piano or the violin, this is the foundational music you always start with. It's everywhere. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Viennese Classicism wasn't just about writing a bunch of pretty tunes. It gave music a clear, powerful, and emotional language that we are still speaking today. It's the language of heroes, of drama, of sadness, and of pure victory. And that kind of leaves us with one last thought. The whole point of this new musical language was to express human emotion and to tell amazing stories without using a single word. So if Haydn, Mozart, or Beethoven were writing the soundtrack for your life right now, what would it sound like? Would it be fast and exciting, slow and thoughtful, or maybe a little bit of everything?